Hey, welcome to Diary on One podcast. I am your host, Akakandela Kandepe, also known as Aka. Exciting, right? We're switching it up a little bit today, and I'd just like to introduce our guest. So today's guest is Dennis Banda. He's a Zambian game producer, writer, and one of the most passionate advocates for gaming and nerd culture in Zambia. I'm so excited. So, hi Dennis, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you very much for having me on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for saying yes. Every time I see something say nerd culture, and I'm like, that's so interesting. This is how excited I get. It's so interesting. I'm very passionate about a lot of things, and it can tell by the few stuff I am into. And you're into something that I'm a bystander on. Like I'm not a gamer, but I have a few gamers in my life, and I just want to learn, how did you get into gaming?
I basically was born into it. My dad was a nerd. I was born into it. Like he already had his own console, uh, Nintendo Entertainment System. Um, he, my dad was a big movie person. I remember going to various rental places with him to get a wide variety of like media. I noticed like when I'd go to my other uncles or aunties' places, they would kind of watch the typical stuff, but he would watch stuff from different countries. So like, South American stuff, East Asian stuff, French films, like everything, like a wide variety. So I was exposed early to, I guess, various media, and I sort of became a fan of all of those things, mostly because of the exposure that he um, I guess gave to me. So I suppose that's like a big, the root of it all, I think. Yeah.
So tell me how you are such a nerd, and you come from this nerd family, and your dad was very passionate about gaming and exploring different ways and different cultures. How did you end up working for the Ministry of Education, and how did you get into that journey?
Well, so basically, um I studied building design, which is, I guess, like diploma level architecture in Australia. And when I was there, um, I I joined an anime club, and like I just googled like anime clubs in that was in Adelaide, anime clubs in Adelaide, and I found one on this forum, and I was like, let me go, have a look, and it was super fun. I met a lot of awesome people who I'm still friends with today. They introduced me to like the convention culture over there. The first year I attended, I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like, like anime conventions now are huge and big and all that stuff. Like convention culture is huge. But back then I wouldn't say it was budding. It was not as mainstream and big as it is now. So, but it was still like mind blowing, right? Like being able to be around all those, like so many young people who are into the exact same kinds of things that I am. And I was like, man, how do you do this, right? So the next year I volunteered. And I really enjoyed being a part of that process, like getting all that stuff together for everyone to have fun. And then the year after that, I was part of like the main team, and I helped uh, get international guests to attend the event as well. So that was like a big thing for me, like being able to do new things, etc. over there. So studying architecture there, came back to Zambia and was doing architectural work freelance. And then COVID hits, and jobs dry up because, COVID. And it's like, man, I need a stable income. So I applied for jobs in the in the government, and that's how I found myself in the Ministry of Education and in Kitwe, because I moved from Lusaka. Lusaka is where I was based all my life, basically. So yeah, that's how that happened.
What exactly were you doing for the Ministry of Education? It's so intriguing because I'm thinking you're an architect and COVID hits, obviously. I was in uni by then, so I was just home. But then for you, freelance jobs dry up and you apply for jobs. What exactly were you doing for the ministry?
I am a secretary at the high school. So the weird thing is, at that time, because I have a diploma in architecture, and at that time, it wasn't diploma level architecture was not recognized by the Architecture Institution of Zambia. So my options were to apparently start from year two architecture, and I was like, no ways, like I'm not doing that again. Like architecture school is is a lot of work, and I'm not doing that
Yeah.
again. Because the standards are different, right? Like the standards for Australia are different from the standards
Mm.
from Zambia. Like the building materials, the standard stuff, like how
Yeah.
foundations work, etc. So um, I was like, nah, I'm not going to school again. I don't like school. Not a fan.
Me
Um,
too. Yeah, me
so
too.
I was like, nah, I'll just pivot and try and do something else just to have a salary, etc. So that's kind of yeah, that's what I'm still doing actually. I'm still in Kitwe doing that.
That's so interesting. And how do you find the experience of studying something and not being able to practice it in Zambia because the standards are different and you totally get into something else just to earn an income? How do you balance that out? And I know, I think you and I might be the same. I do a lot just for money. Like, as long as I can pay my bills and do anything else, I'm good.
Mm.
So I'm that type of person as well. So how does that feel for you to study something, do something totally different now, and live your life?
It was frustrating. It was really frustrating because it also happened at a time when something uh personal happened. Like I had just broken up with my long-term girlfriend at the time. So and then COVID hit. So everything was happening at the same time. So it was very frustrating. It was a really, really difficult time for me. Like if it wasn't for my strong um you know friendships, like my network, my my cousin, my sister, she really came through for me during that time, like in a big way, like emotionally. Like being a guy, I'm pretty liberal, I'm pretty well read, so like you think, oh yeah, no, mental health, whatever, like like I know of it, but then you never think it would affect you. Well, let me say, I never
Yeah.
thought it would affect me. um and then it does, and you're like, man, really? Like I remember I got a panic attack in the road, um and I almost got hit by a car because, like, panic attacks are not a joke. Like you freeze, like it's actually like
Yeah.
physically debilitating. Like it's like it hurt physically. I'm like, damn, like I thought this was just like in your head thing. Like it actually affects your body in a real way. And like, if this happens again, I might get bashed or something. So like I actually need help. Like I don't want to, be affected by this. So uh, I got the help I needed and decided to start afresh. So that really, really helped me big time. So yes, it wasn't like an easy, like, oh, let me just pivot or whatever. It was tough. Yeah.
And to be honest, what you went through is what a lot of young people go through as well. I always like to say, and on my previous episode, I talked about how only 10% will probably get the job they actually went to university to study for. The rest
Mm.
of us have to navigate life and find other skill sets to just make an income. And you're listening to you speak reminds me of that. It's just a fact that not everybody will get the job of what they studied for, which is also okay, but it's not as easy as we all think mentally to move on from something you might have been passionate about. And when you were speaking about your panic attacks, I remember as well when I was from the US, I started getting panic attacks and I would freeze. I would freeze in class, or I'd go in a bathroom and just sit there for an hour crying because I really don't know what to do next. But I remember my therapist was so amazing and really helped me pass through that season in my life. For somebody that has transitioned back into the country and later on broke up with your girlfriend, or your long-term relationship ended and started a new job, that's such a big life transformation, and a lot of young people go through that. What advice or tips would you give people that are going through big life changes?
I don't want to give like one, like one solution fits all. I
Yeah.
think everything, like every scenario is different, but the one that helped me, because I'm very ambitious, and I very much, like, I'm the kid who, when he was 12 years old, I thought I knew what I was going to do, and everything kind of lined up. uh, like everything was lining up for me, like everything that I wanted, like, oh, I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll do it. It was all working out. Like it was all working out. Like everything was working out. And then suddenly when this happens, you're like, whoa, you know. Unforeseen circumstances. It was very shocking. So because of that whole thing of like everything working out, when things changed, what helped me was not being stuck on like this is the only way this will work. If this isn't working, then kwasida, that's all. No, like, understand that some things can change and roll with the punches. Like just don't put too much expectations on yourself. Just go with the flow somewhat. That's helped. I think for my personality type, that helps, because if I didn't do that, I freeze. And I realize that doesn't work with everyone, because some people lack the motivation, right? And they need that motivation. So that's why I said my solution isn't like something that should work for everyone. But if you happen to be the kind of person like me who is very ambitious, I think being able to just let go and say, let go of the reins and just say, hey, let me just go with the flow for a bit and see where we go. That has helped me a lot.
Thank you. I like that. And I'm sure that's going to be helpful for a lot of people. And I always like to say that certain things you can hear somebody else say it and you're like, oh my goodness, that would never happen to me. I was that type of person. But then it happens and you're like, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing that. Back to better news. Excited. Tell me about the gaming culture in Zambia. Like, what does that actually mean?
So, I don't know where to start from. When I was very young, this is like mid 90s or late 90s, gaming was, and I guess it still is now, for privileged kids, because it's expensive. And I was not from I was from a lower middle class family, I would say, right? Like, we weren't poor per se, but we had some luxuries here and there, and gaming is one of the things that I was very lucky that my parents afforded me, right? So the people who I would discuss gaming with were mostly other rich kids, but I wasn't around rich kids because of my economic class, and I really wanted to interact with more people in my economic class around gaming. So what really helped was game centers, like the gaming arcades that are found in markets and stuff like that. That really was the catalyst for my love for the gaming community in Zambia. Just the camaraderie around there, the sense of competition, gaming was a safe place to challenge yourself and challenge others, in a non-toxic way. So I really loved that very much. And at the time, technology was changing fast. Like right now, the leaps aren't as big. Like you can really see them, but jumping from like Super Nintendo to PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, like the leaps in technology was so big. It was very exciting. Yeah, like that's really fueled my love for community as well, mostly the game centers and stuff. And as time goes on, like as games became more affordable and commonplace, I believe like the PlayStation 2 era, most people had PlayStation 2s because it was the cheapest DVD. Most DVDs were very expensive, but the PlayStation 2 was close to half the price of any DVD. So most families bought a PlayStation 2 if they were, wise enough to the fact that this is the cheapest DVD you could buy. And that opened up the doors, I think, for many people to have access to games and stuff. And more people who I noticed were not even gamers would indulge in the hobby, I suppose. So that was very fun. And I'd say after I came back from Australia, and being part of the organizing process for conventions, I was like, why don't we have a convention here, right? So I was part of a Facebook group called Nerd Otaku. Yes, it started as a Facebook group. And Nerd Otaku had like in-person meetings when I was still in college, when I was still abroad. And I was so envious. I'm like, man, I want to be a part of those. So when I came back, I'm like, let's do that again. And some of my close friends and people from within the Nerd Otaku community came together and created this event at the park. And surprisingly, about close to 60 people showed up to that thing. They brought their consoles, they brought their TV screens, we had like a braai situation. It was really, really fun. And at the end of that meeting, at the end of that meeting, we decided, like a few of us remained behind to be like, how do we continue doing this, right? So like maybe 3 of my friends, and at the time they were strangers, we just sat down like, we want to keep doing this. How do we keep doing this? Because it's kind of unsustainable to kind of like just keep doing quote unquote chills. Like 60 people is not a chill anymore. Like that's that's a lot of people. It needs to be properly organized. And that's kind of how Nerd Otaku as a formal organization was born, from trying to make those chills more organized. And we decided then like to grow the community through those meetups. And yeah, that's everything spiraled from there. Like we had the meet, a 2-day convention at Evelyn Horn College. That was honestly way beyond our budget. Like the things we had to do to make that work were crazy, but it worked. Osaka Comic Con was born a year later as well. That's been growing every year ever since then. And so it's every part of the nerd culture, because it's kind of like a big circle, right? So the cosplay community, the anime community, the people who love superhero movies. So we're talking like 2013, 2014. This is just after like Avengers is big, right? So this is before the MCU has become what it is now, right? So you're now getting more people who were not, I guess, fans of comic books, but people are talking about Thor and Black Panther. Like who talked about Black Panther in 2012, right? And now like he's ubiquitous. So it was really interesting seeing all these people becoming fans of this culture that we've been a part of for many years, join and embracing them. It's been great, honestly. Like it's what fuels me. It's what fuels me, despite the fact that we basically get zero funding from the corporate space, because I don't think that they recognize the impact that nerd culture has. I don't think we're that big, but we're very influential and passionate, and we do spend a lot of money. So it's been very shocking to me, like going to these pitch meetings and getting to see the reaction, going, I don't know, man, 400 people, 500 people, not my cup of tea. And then the next couple months, you're like, oh, there's a marathon happening. Oh, how many people attended? About the same amount. Okay, what's the difference though, right? Like, I get the ROI thing, whatever. But it's like, if you compare the impact that, say, the next Avenger movie, right? How many people are going to attend that? How many people in Zambia are going to go to the theater to spend actual real life money on just seeing the Avengers? You could capitalize on that in many ways. Merch, attaching your brands to specific things, and the intense loyalty that nerds have to certain IP is only akin to sports. But the corporate world here does not either see that or respect it yet. And that's been the frustrating part for me for all these years that I've been doing this. Is we've grown the community to the point where I think we can reach a natural state, but for it to break into like super mainstream in Zambia, we now need that big corporate push, because everything we've been doing has been out of our own pockets. Like the money we get from our salaries, whatever, the extra we pump into the event, we honestly punch way above our weight. Every time people attend our events, they think, wow, who's sponsoring this? And it's like, me, I'm sponsoring it. Because we every extra money we make, we put back into the next event to try and feel bigger than we actually are. And maybe that's the mistake we made. Maybe we fooled people into thinking we are bigger than we are. But we try to put the best show possible for everything. That's in every aspect. Our website is state of the art, world class. It's better than some international websites. Our YouTube videos are amazing. Everything we put, our social media, our artwork, it's all top class stuff, because we want to showcase that we are top of the range. And I know it's world class because the people who work on the team get hired using the portfolio of the stuff that they've done for Nerotaku at the top places in Zambia. So I know it's the best because it's the best people working for these actual companies, plucking people from our team. So yeah, it's been very interesting to see that dichotomy, like what the corporate world sees from us and how we see ourselves.
I think it's also interesting on my end because I've been in similar situations like you, and I know that if this could go big, if I could get a corporate sponsor. The podcast is one of those things, right? I always like to say, apart from me being very picky of who I would like to work with, I'm very picky because I would like to still have control of how the podcast is running. But I know that for this to grow, it could reach a lot of people if we had the right sponsors. Because just like you, I do this from my pocket. I do this from my company's pocket. And there's so much we could do. And now this year I saw how everything had to change. So listening to you speak, I could name a few things that if they could just get the right money pumped in, they would be big. And Ned's Soccer is like one of those things where if you guys would get money pumped in, they could be big. But then now I think the interesting conversation, or the conversation we need to start having, is what's the actual criteria? Do collaborations and partnerships from corporate companies or different corporate companies is? And what are some of us doing wrong? Because you could see that other organizations could be younger than your organization, but they get in and they can get in sponsorship. And you're like, okay, so what am I not doing that others are doing? And where do I stand? Or what should I start doing? I get your frustration, but I think it could be very interesting one time to have a conversation with the people that actually make. You know what? If I have one of these big people here, I will ask that question on everybody's behalf. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
It's interesting because it is something that
yeah,
I've also asked as well. Because, like, having done Nerdotafo for 10 years, um, Zamim um, is small. It's a
yeah,
very incestuous, like the marketing and agencies it's very incestuous. Like, I know most of the marketing people because they just swap places. Like, oh, you're at
yeah.
MTN, now you're at Zambia
Mm-hmm.
Sugar, now you're at Zambia. It's the same people. Yeah, DST MultiChoice now. Oh, you used to be at Vodafone. It's the same people. So, uh, the list of marketing, I know them. They know me. They're well aware. So clearly, there's something we're not hitting that other things are hitting. Um, and I really would like to know as well, like what, like as you said, the criteria is, because you compare it to other places. I compare it to Botswana. I compare it to
Yeah.
Kenya. Kenya, who I know that they emulated some of our success, and now they're way bigger than us. Like their convention scene, their nerd culture convention scene is way bigger than us. When they were inspired by what we were doing, and they're working with not just the government but different corporate agencies, because I don't know, they discovered how it works. And I asked them as well, like, how did you do it? Explain. I try and implement the same thing here. No dice. I was like, interesting. But sometimes it's also just a matter of waiting, because
Yeah.
even perception and age does matter. Honestly, some people are just not exposed. They just aren't. Like, and it's not their fault. It is ignorance in a way. So something that helped me over the years was just to invite some people. Like, just show up. Just come see what it's like. Like, I'm not asking you to spend. Just show up. Literally, just show up. And almost everyone who I've asked to show up leaves the place going, wow. Something I'm very proud of is at Lusaka Comic Con, there's a panel that I've been running for about 8 years called the Filmmakers Roundtable, where I invite different people in the film industry to just talk about film in a very practical way. I always tell the people when they're coming for the panel, I'm like, I'm not going to ask you, how did you start? No, like, anyone who's a fan of you knows where you did that. I'm asking you practical questions where if someone is on listening to that panel and they are an aspiring writer, they're going to leave that panel going, I know where to take my script, I know how to improve my script, like real practical things. Like, if once they leave that panel, they'll be like, I'll join the industry in a couple months because I attended that panel. Those are the questions I ask. My struggle is always getting the people on board, because they're like, who's this guy? All these Nerotaku guys. Oh, I have to go here. And it's always very interesting. Like, getting people on that panel is like, like, you can tell they're like, oh, man, fine, I'll do this. And I'm persistent. And then
Right.
and then they come on the panel, and then I can see the energy in their eyes and their body language. They're like, I've never been on a panel like this in my life. Like, this is, at the end of every panel, they're always giving me suggestions. So next time, this, that. I'm like, okay, yeah. See, I knew you'd be into this, and and that's the reaction that almost everyone has as well to this stuff. So I'm like, I know it works. I know that this is a good, if you want to call it a product, I know it's a good product, right? And it can go really far. And I know for a fact that the first person who bites into it in a real tangible way, like a proper serious bite, is going to reap massive benefits. Our audience is naturally attracts like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and something that I know from marketing is it's very hard to attract that audience. They've got very short attention span. They're very picky. They're very affluent in marketing speak. They don't like to be talked to like they know when they're being marketed to, right? So they look at an ad and they're like, oh, an ad, skip, right? But for us,
That's so
we,
me.
we kind of don't have to advertise, honestly. Like
Yeah.
we just naturally appeal to them, and that's a secret superpower that I don't think anything else has. Other people have to go all out, getting influencers. Da, 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 da. We don't have to do that. They come to us, you know. And if brands don't realize that they can align themselves with that kind of motion, as the kids call it, um, then I don't know uh, what else to do, because everyone else is catching on. Look at Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood has caught on very quickly to that. These Gen Z and Gen Alpha celebrities, they grew up, you know, with this stuff as natural to them. For my generation in Zambia specifically, you had to go out of your way to be a nerd. You actually had to go out of your way. But now you don't. Like, I work at a high school. Almost all the girls I know there, like, to them, anime is not, it's not anime, that weird thing. It's just cartoons. It's just no, like, you don't watch Jujutsu Kaisen? You're weird for not watching Jujutsu Kaisen. Everyone watches Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, that's how it is. So it's interesting that they haven't caught on yet.
It's also interesting, and I think while sticking to this side of the conversation, I wanted to also mention that probably it also has to do with trends, right? I think marathons are a trend now. Like everybody wants to go to a marathon. Like it's a big money venture, and it's a way for a few corporate entities to be out there to interact with their customers. But marathons are such a trend now. It's a lifestyle for a few, but some just want to be like, hey, I was at the KK marathon. It's like such a fun trend that I don't like I am not a marathon person, but it's such a trend and people like it. And I think that when it comes to nerd culture, they haven't caught up yet, and it might just happen that they will catch up soon, and when they catch up soon, it's going to blow up in such a great way. That's why I like to tell myself about the podcast is the podcast field as well is just like that. Only a few selected podcasts are doing great because they have resources, they have sponsorship. But the community is still very small, but it's growing. And I know that in a few years, everybody's going to catch up because podcasting in the Western world and other countries, it's such a big industry now. And in Zambia, things tend to grow slowly. So maybe in the future, I know that in the future, even the net culture is just going to blow up. And we're going to start using it for different stuff, which is very exciting.
100%. Like I definitely know it will, because like I got into podcasts. I actually had a podcast when I was studying, an anime podcast. This is 2010. I had an anime podcast, and that's what actually opened doors for me with the professional anime world, right? Because I'm a critic for anime and games, and it's because I started my podcast back then when it was still fresh, even worldwide. It was kind of fresh, and the guests I had on at the time, because it was newish, right? So the guests I had on were honestly remarkable. I had producers and publishers and voice actors and all that kind of thing. And because I made those connections early, I still have them now. And even the people who were fans or enthusiasts at the time. At the time, I was like in my early 20s. Now they're in the companies and they're the ones calling the shots. And I guess that's something that I tell people now is like, when you go to these networking events, don't be like, oh, I need to talk to Mzingamelo. She doesn't know you. She doesn't care about you. She's heard that story many times. Talk to the people who are in your space at your level. because they are not going to be at your level
Yes.
5 years. If you have genuine connections with the people at your level and you worked with them and they understand that this guy or this girl works super hard, da, 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 they know your vision. They heard your vision 4 years ago, and maybe you had 2 projects with them. When that person, not if, when that person or when you yourself becomes the, assistant marketing whatever at Stanbic, that's your connection.
True.
That's how that works. Like right now, I know so many people in the anime and gaming industry abroad because those were my homies on Twitter. Before Twitter became the mess that it is, it really was a really good place to directly interact with editors and writers and producers and stuff like that. So those are the connections I have. I made those connections because I used to yap about anime and games on Twitter and ask them legitimate questions and stuff like that. So they know me, right? Do that today. When you go for these conferences, don't just, be like, oh, I need to talk to manager so and so or CEO so and so. No, no, no. This is your way to find people who are in your space who you can work with, who will then be your future connections.
I actually like saying that to people all the time. And I get asked a lot why I don't do events. And I'm like, I don't think I need to be at every event because we're all the same people. Like, we're a handful of us in Osaka. If we attend the same events, it means we still meet the same people. So it doesn't make sense if you're paying for an event to attend all the events because you probably see the same speakers, listen to them, and get the same thing, probably just in different clothing. The second thing is, again, don't go for the bigger person. I like going to a big person if I have a book they wrote and I want them to sign an autograph. Great. I never ask for their contacts if I can't be of service. And I really did just grow my network like that, where now my peers and the people I met 4 years ago are rising up ranks. I'll be like, oh my goodness, I know that person and I can reach out. But again, I think we're wired to want to meet Bishop Sanizuru, for example, or want to meet the big gangs or the top guys in industry, forgetting that they won't just remember us because we're just not relevant to them, which is also fine. But if you talk to their assistant, if you talk to, probably their assistant or somebody from their team, that's the next big person, and it's going to be good for business or good for your career. And I think that I don't know how if you are wired to think in those lines. But
Yeah,
10 years from now.
100%. I totally agree with you. Like, I was invited to speak at the Creative Industries Business Summit last year. And something that I found interesting was almost every speaker's talk was the same thing. It was mostly, and I'll use the young people's terms, it was mostly glazing yourself, right? Like, oh, I did this, I did that. Not in like in kind of an unprompted way, because people are asking you, how did you do this? And then your answer will always kind of end up coming off like a listing of your achievements and how to become great. So when it was my turn to speak, I was like, you guys have, I didn't say this, but my thought process was, they've been hearing people talk about how they made it all this time. So I'm going to change the script. I'm going to talk about how everything I've done has been some kind of failure. Like, I've failed to achieve what I wanted. Like, I have a goal and I've failed. And when I was speaking, I could literally see and feel everyone lean forward. Like, like everyone in that auditorium just leaned forward and was like, this is what I want to hear. I want to hear why you suck, because I suck. And how do I get better? And how do I get there? And all the questions from all the panels, because there was 4 of us on the panel, all the questions were for me. And I was the least, what can you say, big person there, right? Like, they should have asked other people. I but people want to hear how to get better, how to get there, not how you got there. Because everyone's different as well. There's a big amount of luck involved chance and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if people really talked about how they failed to get to certain things, that's super super helpful. Super 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 helpful.
And I also think that I like to talk about this a lot. The other reason I don't attend events is I'm tired of people telling me how they got there, how how yeah, they will say things were hard, but they won't just be as honest of how it sucked for a while, how things didn't work out, how they made bad decisions. Because I'm now half your age, and I am doing whatever I have read in books. I've listened to you speak as well, and I am doing that as well, but it's still not working out. So I want the older generation to just tell us the truth. Like, hey, you will do this and it will not work out, which is also fine. This will happen. It sucked for a while. Because if you give young people the picture that just do this for a few years and it's going to work out and you're going to end up in my position, that's a lie. Because sometimes you have to be at a certain place at the right time. And luck plays such a big role. Luck, connections, everything in between, apart from your effort. Just telling people like, oh, I really just worked hard. We all work hard, but we all want to be in that position. Is conversations we need to start having. Say, hey, some of you will still work hard and some stuff just won't work out. You need to know that from the get-go, and you need to learn to pivot quickly. Is some of the things I would like us to talk about more.
Totally agree. I think also the one thing that I will say is something most people don't do is audacity. Um, that's the only thing I think most people don't actually have is the audacity. Everything I've ever achieved was audacity. My audacity to reach out to, when I was for the conventions, I was like, I'm gonna volunteer, and then the next one, I'm like, I want to be part of the lead team. That took audacity. I had attended one convention, and then the next year I was like, I'm good enough to run this. That's audacity, right?
Audacity and courage.
Yes, and then the other ones is like reaching out to these writers, producers. That takes audacity. It's like, who are you? Like, what platform do you have? How many listeners do you have? Oh, 40? But you want me on? Okay, I guess. Like, yes, you receive many no's, but that audacity is what makes people remember. It's what puts you ahead of everyone else. Even there's people who have skill, but they don't get to where they need to be because they don't have the audacity to put themselves in the places that they need to be. So you really do need that audacity to actually try and get there. Even in otaku, like I said, everything we do, we try and push above our weight. Like, we have the audacity to say, yeah, we can, hire the entirety of Noguchi. How much does it cost? Oh, 80K? Shit, let's, get loans, whatever. We'll get that money back. That's audacity. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many moments where every morning when a convention is starting, I'm standing there and I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna break even, man. Like, we spend too much money. And then at the end, you're like, oh crap, we actually did it. That's crazy. Everything is audacity. Not everything will work out. Again, there have been some failures, but the fact that you put yourself in those spaces, people notice. And Zambia is small. That's something I've also learned. Zambia is very small. People notice those with audacity. They actually do. So just keep putting yourself in a space that even you in your heart, like, I'm not supposed to be here, but put yourself there.
One of my takeaways from this conversation is have audacity and courage. And in so many ways, I think that you and I are the same, because the people I try to bring on this podcast that has a few listeners is because I have audacity and courage. Why do you think people think that anime are cartoons?
I think it's just, well, of course, first of all, they are. And when I was very young, I used to get very triggered by that. But they are. They are. and it's the culture we're grown in, right? What the actual problem is people assuming cartoons are just, you know, throwaway slop to give children. And that's not to say children's media is not great, because there's children's media out there which is like really good. The first few seasons of Dora the Explorer is peak art, by the way. Like, there's a lot of kids shows out there, but there's good kids shows. How do you know what's good and what's bad, right? So just because something's for kids doesn't mean it's bad. There's like good art and bad art. That aside, we've grown up in a culture where animated shows or animated films are targeted for children, and the assumption is that it's just, there's nothing of artistic merit or value in it. And a good amount of anime is targeted to people above the age of 13, 14, 15, 16 upwards. And some of it is pretty avant-garde, artsy-fartsy. So it's exposure, I think. Most people just haven't been exposed to that. And when they are exposed, their opinions do change. And we've been very lucky that we've had a good number of hits go mainstream. Attack on Titan, for one, going mainstream was very, very good for anime, especially in COVID. COVID did nerd culture such a huge boost. Like, when everyone was locked in, their only entertainment was, their backlog of media. And animation, film couldn't be done because you needed to have people in a place, right, to shoot. So animation and games, which could be produced remotely, thrived in that period. So that's the one thing that I would say COVID did for nerd culture, is it really boosted its reach and its value and its quality in a way. So, like Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia, even games, like The Last of Us, Fallout, etc. Like, it sounds like I'm naming TV shows because they were adapted from games, but like those were the games that were big in the COVID era. So that really, really helped. So I think hopefully more exposure, like the TV shows exposing people to the fact that these stories exist in games. The Witcher, for example, is something which The Witcher and The Last of Us and Fallout is something which I hope people can go back to and be like, okay, yeah, I watched the TV show, I watched the movie, let me try play the game, and hopefully that will change their mindset a little bit on the medium. Yeah.
I didn't know the Witcher was a game. Now I want to watch the game. I want to play the game.
I mean, it was a book. It was a book, and then the game adapted the book, but the game was more popular than the book.
So the game was before the series.
Yes. So Henry Cavill's Geralt is very much taken from the game's like the way the game's Geralt is very much Henry Cavill's. Like, he got a 1-to-1 inspiration from that.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, the way he speaks. No, it's amazing. Like, it's definitely better than the show, and the show is good, but it's definitely better than the show.
The show was good. The show was good. Till they changed
the game,
it.
Yeah, it did so well that when Obama visited Poland, they gave him the game as a gift to say, like, this is the pride of Poland. Like, this material, this game is the pride, because it's Polish, right? Like, the game is very Polish. Like, the stories are very, like their version of like Little Red Riding Hood, their version of like Mamfwiti, their version. It's very Polish culture, but put into like a fairy tale setting. So it's telling their story, it's telling their culture and the stories of their culture through the game. Even I have learned a lot about Polish culture from the Witcher games. So like, that's the power that games can have, which I guess would pivot into like what I'm doing now, because I've always wanted to be a game dev. Like, even the games that we're producing now I want to tell stories of Zambia's culture, Zambia's authentic culture through the games we're making. Zambia's like contemporary culture, right?
So you're the lead producer and you create video games. Tell me about that. Like, what does it take to create a video game?
Lots of patience. uh, yeah. My colleagues and I, my close friends, Robin and Shima and myself, decided to finally bite the bullet and actually do something we've wanted to do for many, many years. And yeah, we're very much in the early stages of it. It's a brand new, I guess, startup company. But we've been making games for many years. We've also been doing lots of like workshops on teaching people how to make games for since 2012, I think. So yeah, we got to that point where we're like, why don't we just like actually go full force into doing this, and that's what we're doing right now. It's super 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 early into production. We're very much in pre-production. We're still getting everything done. We're still hiring and contracting a few people to fill out the team, but our vision is set, and it's very exciting, very scary because it costs a lot of money and time, but I'm very excited because it's something I've wanted to do ever since I was a kid. I've been designing games ever since I first saw the first game. Like I was designing them on paper, right? Like I remember a friend of mine reminded me, he's like, "Do you remember that you used to make us play games in your exercise book?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did used to do that." Yeah, so it's hard. It's very hard, but it's very fulfilling.
What are your biggest challenges you're facing during building a gaming company and producing video games in Zambia?
Surprisingly, human resources. Human resources, and also the tech resources, I guess, machinery, right? Like you need very good computers, you need electricity. I think one of the main reasons why we hadn't done it earlier was because we were in like a flood of load shedding. It's not possible to do that with load shedding. You need, if then you need like solar, which is expensive. And then even like I said, human resources. How many people have the knowledge on how to create games? Not many people have that knowledge, right? So it's been very difficult to get the right team together locally. There's many people who can do it internationally, and you can do it remotely, but it's remote work is hard, especially when you're starting out. Like maybe when we're more established, we can figure out how to do pipelines remotely, but it's easier to do it in person. So that's one thing. I can't say anything yet about like publishing and distribution because we aren't there yet, but I foresee that might be an issue because I've never heard of any Zambian game being distributed or published. And also even software wise, like software developers or apps, how many Zambian apps do you know that have gone like viral, right? So I foresee that being an issue, but thankfully games our market is international. While we are making a Zambian game for Zambians, we're at the end of the day making a state-of-the-art game that's going to sell to an international audience. So thankfully we're kind of covered, but it would really be nice if we did have something which was very much championed as a national product that is sent to the nation as a whole, because it opens up the door and expands the industry altogether. Like it would be nice to have kids who are in high school now thinking, I want to be able to get this software degree or this writing degree or this creative arts degree because I want to go and work at Bevel, or I want to go and work at Chroma Pixel Games, or I want to work at Epic Art Studios. These Zambian indie game development companies, because they're now big. That would be really nice.
Yeah, that would be really nice. And I think that we talked about this earlier. It's just a matter of time. And because your audience is Gen Alpha and Gen Zs, I think that you're going to do great. They are champions for a lot of things. Well, I'm a Gen Z, so I always say we are champions for a lot of things. I am not a gamer, but I know what I am going to try out, which is The Witcher. Excited for that. I think that's like one of the easiest ways to get me into gaming is like, Aka, do you know this book? Yes, it's a game. I'm like, let me watch, let me do it, let me see something. So yeah, very excited about
Yeah, I think like one of the easiest ways that I've gotten people into games is to ask them what media they like and then find something similar to that. So like for you, like I would ask you like uh what media do you like? Is it books? Is it movies? Like what's your favorite media?
books.
Books. And what kind of genre do you like in books?
Really depends, but I'm in a season of building a company and I read a lot of text. So non-inspirational books, but I like fictional books. I am a fictional lover, so Harry Potter, The Witcher, like any fictional book, you can get me to read a fictional book. Then
So
get me to play
what's
a game.
funny? What's funny is you think that nonfiction would be a genre that wouldn't work to games, but there's many
For real?
many I would recommend to you that would work. So games of this subgenre called simulation. Simulation games, and they are very, very popular. Pretty complex, but very popular. So a very well-known example you might have heard of is a game called The Sims. You might have heard of it
Yes,
before.
I've heard.
Yes. So that's just a life simulator, right? Like it doesn't really have any goals. It's like, create people and the people do things, and you make your own goals yourself. So you who's
Okay.
made those people, whatever goals you make, you're like, oh, I want this person to become a millionaire, whatever. You take them to a job, etc. That's the entire game. So depending on what you're trying to build, like I say, maybe you want to build a company. There's a simulation game for trying to get people to space. One of my favorites is Civilization, which is like taking a civilization through the ages to prosper and beat the other civilizations in different ways, either through culture, war, domination, diplomacy, like science. So you'd be shocked at how many different. There's a whole subgenre of games which are about making the most efficient factory. Like there's some about like cars and race. There's so many. So honestly, there's a game for every kind of person out there, and it's just a matter of them being exposed to it and getting hooked.
I think that, and that's my assumption was the games I knew were the games my people, especially the men, are playing on their PS5. And I'm like, I don't want to play that game. You know what? I don't want to fight with somebody. And that was my assumption. I didn't know that there was that other end of games. And also now I'm thinking, but I could download a stimulation game on my phone. Why haven't I? Like it's just that thing where I'm that type of person that I don't have any game on my phone. The only time I get to play a game or a stimulation game or a puzzle is when I'm on my Duolingo. And all the kids, my nieces and nephews, or just my little cousins, they're like, I want your phone. I'm like, I have no game. I have no game on my phone, so there's nothing you can do with my phone but watch pictures. So no, like, oh, I really just had my aha moment, and I really just can't wait to hear the suggestions you text me and try them out. I'm excited. Like I can't wait to try them out. I hope I don't get
Yeah,
hooked.
awesome.
I get hooked easily. I hope I don't get
Yeah,
hooked,
that's the
but
thing.
I really can't wait to try them.
Yeah, that genre of games is actually very, very, very addicting. I won't lie to you. Because because you want to improve, right? Like you want
Yeah.
to make your, I don't know if it's your city or your company or your factory, whatever it is, you want to make it better. So it's actually very addictive and a lot of fun as well. Like a lot of fun. So I'm very curious to see what you'd be hooked on. And also, um, in terms of like, because the games are young compared to other media, so it's also still expanding in what genres or subgenres they could be, right? So one of my favorite games that came out about 5 6 years ago is it's a mobile game, and it's a story about a young 30 something Asian woman who is being pestered by her mom. Like stereotypical Asian culture, like, oh, why aren't you married yet? Do you have a boyfriend? Da, 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 da. And she runs into a boyfriend, and then they move in. And the way the gameplay is, it's like touching on your phone. It's like touching. So like maybe to show like, oh, she's getting messages. So like you're responding to DMs. Like you're actually responding to DMs the way you'd respond on a phone because it's a phone game. So like that's so interesting to me that you could design a game to make it feel like it's real life. Like the user experience. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
No, I can picture it, but then that
Yeah.
actually brings me to my next question: is how is AI impacting the game world and the creation of games now?
Oof, in a big way. Big way. And for me as a creative, I have a very anti-AI stance as a creative person. Because I feel art is an expression of the human soul, and something being generated just doesn't have that. Like the best art comes from joy, sadness, longing, um, and machines don't have that. You can't prompt joy. I can't type joy into a machine to make it feel joy. So it can't create art. And there's lots of pressure from the AI companies to use AI to make shortcuts with creating AI assets, like putting AI art in games or removing software programmers and using AI code, etc. And it's affected it because there's a lot of layoffs happening. It's not just games, it's Silicon Valley, right? Like other software companies, but even games are affected. There's layoffs every month, like big layoffs at big companies, which are even successful, which is very shocking. It's like, how can this studio, which has made a hit game, have layoffs? But because some higher up somewhere has made a calculation to say, no, if you fire 70 people and then they're replaced by 2 people who know how to prompt AI to do their work, it will be better. That's kind of how it's affecting it. And the reaction from gamers has been interesting because we're not fans per se. Like the perception to AI in games is not positive for now. There's a few people who don't mind, but a lot of the, I guess I would say, old heads are not big fans of it because it cheapens the product. You can feel when something is not genuine. Something made by someone has flaws, it has quirk, it has character. And when something is just AI generated, it just feels like, the word has been used a lot, but slop. Like slop is just something that you just slap on something, no taste. Does it feel like, if you're eating slop, are you going to get full? Yes. Does it taste good? No. But it's serving a function, right? So you, who's like a production person, you're like, why should I make food taste good when the whole point of food is to give you energy and make you full? I think that's the difference, or that's the attitude that the consumers have towards it. The industry, maybe not so much. The industry, like I said, is about the bottom line and what makes the most money, right? Why should they care about taste when they can just produce as much as possible? So yeah.
That's an interesting take. And I've had a few people here and we've talked about AI, and We've talked about it in different industries, education, health, and how it's impacting that sector and how it's making things better. And I love that I'm getting a take on how it's impacting the gaming industry. And like certain industries really does need you to, they really do need you to put in your emotion into it. I know there's a way it could be integrated more ethically, but it's just interesting to get this take as well. Dennis, how do you think gaming can be used as a serious tool for education and development in a country like Zambia?
There's many ways. I've actually wanted to have this talk for many years. Okay, I know why I haven't done it. I haven't done it because this talk is not for gamers. Gamers know, and parents of gamers know. This talk is for that one parent who thinks games are silly or stupid, or that one minister, or that, like, this talk is for that person. But how do I get that person to sit down and listen to me talk about games for 2-3 hours without them rolling their eyes? I'll give you practical examples. Here's a very recent example. There's this game that's just been announced, God of War. It's about the Greek God of War, right? And he goes around killing gods in a pantheon, the Greek pantheon, when Zeus and them. I have learned about many Greek gods because of that game. So there's something called tangential learning. So the game isn't historically accurate, right? But I have learned about a whole culture because I played that game. And it's very different from reading a book. Playing a game is very different from reading a book. It's very different from watching a movie. That's passive entertainment. That's passive education. Playing a game is very active. You are controlling the thing. You are having agency. You move forward when you press forward, right? Like it's you doing the thing. That sticks in you more than passively reading or passively watching. So the things that I've experienced actively stay stuck with me because I made an active choice to keep doing that thing. So that's one thing, right? Like tangential learning. The other one would be interacting with people, like for multiplayer games, right? Interacting with people online. People have different social issues, but being able to interact with people online to achieve a particular goal teaches so many things about communication and teamwork and like emotional maturity, etc. A lot of these things are done at like these team building retreats. Playing a multiplayer game is a team building retreat every time you play, because you're not the best player on that team. Maybe you're the third best, and you know your role, and you adapt yourself to that role. You know who's the best player on that team. So in a particular situation, you'll be like, my role here is to empower the best player in this particular thing. These are not things which are explicitly told to you. You learn them as you're playing, and they get stuck with you. You apply all the same things to work or school. If you're working on a group project at school, you understand this guy is better than me at this subject, or better than me at typing. So I'll do the research and I'll give him to type. Games do that, teach you how to do that naturally. I'll give another example. The ability to like go up against challenges. Games are a safe place to fail. Something very young people need to learn in life early on. And by very young, I mean like toddlers or like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. They need to have a place to fail safely. Yes, you can fail at school, but that still feels like there's still like bigger social and economic punishments for failing. Yeah, failing grade 6 isn't that big of a deal, but it still does hit you in real tangible ways. But failing at a game, it's just a game. When you're playing, it doesn't feel like it's just a game. You've seen people get visibly upset, but it's a safe place to learn how to fail and adapt and get over that hump. It gives you that kind of resilience. All those characteristics and attributes, you put them all into a learning environment, and the kind of person you create at the end of it is remarkable. Even creativity, the creative games like Minecraft, or like I said, The Sims. You give a child The Sims, and you're like, I don't know what they can do. It's open ended, and you'll be shocked with what they do in that world, because you're giving them a sandbox to create their own goals and create routines, and create spaces, and interact with environments. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. Games allow people to do that. Not just young people, even older people need a space to be able to create and express themselves. So this is just off the dome, right? Like I said, I've been trying to get a talk like this. I can go on for 3 hours about this particular thing. Like there's so many, or competition, right? Like esports. The ability to compete with different people, all the great attributes of real life sports, it's just added to video games. They all have that? Everything that you say, oh, sports adds this to the children, exact same thing games can do. So yeah, there's many different things that can be done through games.
And I like the breakdown, and I think like any other tool that parents use to kind of keep their children engaged, active, like you said, games can do that. And you were talking about how if you're playing a game and you have a few players there, everybody gets to learn their role, and that could be used for team building. That gave me like an aha moment, because I'm like, oh, so companies could actually use games as a team building exercise. I would do this for my organization.
100%. And we have done that before. We've done that for a couple of companies, and I guess it's just on our own end, not really like going full force on it, because it's something that it was really fun for them. Because like at first they were like, oh, team building, like 90% of the people don't want to be there, and then they came to this one and they were like, whoa, this was really cool. And you can see when people actually have a genuine good time, as opposed to like being forced to have a good time. Literally no alcohol was needed for the people to have a good time there. Like they were genuinely most workmates don't like each other, but you could see that they they actually collaborated in different things, because we made them play games that forced collaboration, and you could see them learning about each other through those experiences. So 100%.
I think I would like to do that. I have a company, and I am always trying to do something different with my team every month to just keep us engaged. We work remotely, and it works well for us because we are in different areas, low budget, and I'm just building this company. And I think I now know what I would do for my next activity. I just need to know how I would do it, but yeah, I can't wait to see how that works out. When you look at the global gaming industry, where do you see Africa's place and Zambia's place in the gaming industry?
So making games is expensive because of, like I said, equipment, time, etc. Most games right now are made in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, etc., right? Or Montreal, Canada, or Europe. Now, the problem with those spaces is rent is high, costs are high. It's expensive to make games in those places, and that's why layoffs are happening, etc. Then even the market, I believe that the games are the highest grossing media thing in existence, like double, the numbers, double or triple the music industry. I don't know if it's quadruple the movie industry, whatever. Yeah, it's making money, it's got the most people, cool. But they've reached a saturation point, because they keep targeting the Americans and the Europeans and the Asians, and all the people who could play games there are playing them, and they are aging generations, right? They are getting older, they're not reproducing. We know this. Which continent has people who are mostly young and constantly reproducing? Which continent has got cheaper cost of living? Africa and South America are the next hotbeds of games and game making and game consumption. Um, at the moment, the hardware is expensive, but the moment that it will become less expensive and more people have phones or whatever, our internet access gets much more democratized. That's it. That's it. Now you've got what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 billion people who have not been targeted. Suddenly, you're going to start seeing them be the main target for these studios and these publishers, and that's a gold mine. That's, in fact, gold mine is even an understatement. That is the next frontier, and there's reports on this. Like, they're aware of it. They're just kind of waiting to see who actually pulls the trigger on it, but they're very aware.
Africa is like it's going to be one of the next gold mines, and I'm very excited because I'm African, and I always like to say this to people that I want to stay home because in the next few years, in a decade, this is where the money will be. So whatever solution or company you build in Africa, this would be the gold mine. We just need to be able to afford the technology to be integrated in Africa for us to start thriving. So I love that gaming will also be targeting Africa. Very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, a practical example is China. So game consoles were prohibited in China for many, many years, and then they opened it up, I think maybe 10-ish years ago. Same thing with the way they opened up Hollywood movies to premiere in China. And if you do follow like the box office and stuff, you know that if your movie makes it big in China, it kind of doesn't matter that you can make a loss everywhere else in the world. If you made it in China, you've made the money back and then some. And that's because now the middle class in China have expendable income, right? And there's billions of them over there. So the same way that China has opened up, like, when first of all the middle class are doing well, once the middle class starts doing well here in Africa as a whole, it's the exact same thing. Even movies, you start seeing movies being made and targeted for the African market as a whole.
I like that. What advice would you give a young Zambian who loves gaming but has been told that it's not a real career or something serious to pursue?
I would tell them to keep pursuing it because they are going to be a pioneer and one of the only people who have that skill set, and they'll be very valuable and valued. And even if you don't work here, you will be plucked to work abroad if possible, or work remotely, because you've got a unique perspective and unique attributes. You are one of one because of where you are. You're special. Like, your CV is special. You're not just a Harvard or MIT graduate with software engineering. There's like 1,000 of those. You're now a UNZA graduate with a computer studies degree from Zambia who's working in gaming. How many of those are there? This is real life, by the way. Like, our founder is one of those people. Like, he's had so many doors open for him because he's a Zambian game developer, with a master's degree. So, like, that's I'm not speaking from without here, like some motivational speaker. This is actually real life.
Yeah, and I always like to tell people that when you stick and stay in Zambia and you stick to a specific industry, you become a pioneer in that. The country and Africa will catch up one day, but what's important is for you to just stick on. And this is what I did with the podcast, is like, just stick it out. And when everybody catches up, I'll probably be one of the few people that started podcasting and does it every week and has this big audience. So yeah, let them just keep pursuing it because there will be a pioneer.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is keep learning. Games are dynamic. It's like a law, I guess. Like, keep learning, keep be curious, and know what field you want to be in. Again, games are a whole industry. Game developers are not just software developers. It's when I say that we have an HR issue, it's can I say I think games are the they're the most full form of creativity. Every artist touches a game. Every type of artist touches a game. We need music in games, so we need composers. We need uh, sound engineers. So not just like a composer, like like a technical sound person. Like how do I make this? How do I change the pitch? How do I how do I transform it? We need voice actors. We need motion capture performers. So performers, actors. We need programmers. We need writers. We need 3D artists. We need 2D artists. We need background artists. We need traditional artists. We need everything. If you're any form of creative, we need you. And then at the end of that, now this game has to be published, so we need marketing people. We need PR people. We need, like, have you seen how it's like everything is needed in the game industry? Like, if you're any kind of creative person, it touches literally every kind of person. So learn all of that, like learn and manage. Like, I'm a producer, which is basically a manager, right? Like, I'm the manager of the team. You need like management skills, human resources skills. I look at Excel charts all the time. Like, I'm just looking at Gantt charts and scheduling meetings. That's all I'm doing. So it's you need every kind of person. So yes, being in games means you have to kind of be able to work with all kinds of people. It's not just software developers or artists. It's even business people and marketing people, and those are very different personalities. So you can only imagine what it's like being a producer, having to go to this introverted artist, and then after that you go to this marketing person who's super extroverted. It's getting all those people in one room to have an aligned vision is work.
I think it's interesting work. Sounds like interesting work.
Yeah.
Well, Dennis, I would like to give you an opportunity to ask me a question.
Well, I already asked you what media you partake in, but I'll ask you what was your initial perception of, I guess, nerd culture in Zambia, like, let's say 5 years ago, and have you interacted with it in any way?
I actually didn't think it existed. So before even this meeting, like, I had an idea because I was getting ready for this recording, and I always need to like be prepared of how random I will get, but in the right context. Yeah, I really just didn't know that nerd culture existed. Which is weird. But also, I'm that type of person that is sometimes very linear in the things that I consume. So even when you come to my LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or any other platform I use, I have specific things I would like to see. And as long as I have no interest in something, it won't be on my algorithm. I make sure my algorithm is to the top tier of what I like, or what I would like to consume to keep me motivated in my work. Yes, so, but also this made me be like, oh my goodness, I think I would like my sister to partake in this. Like, if I have the time, if my other sister could take her, or my mom, I would like her to kind of be in that world, because I think the creative space is such a good space for a young child to express herself and to just learn about themselves. So I'd probably take my young cousins and sisters, because again, you need to be exposed to certain things. I am very exposed in different ways. I work towards that and I'm proactive, but sometimes you also have to realize that certain people just end, and as guardians or apparently adults to younger siblings, we have to create an environment that exposes them to a different world, so they can look at your company and be like, oh my goodness, I want to be a software engineer so I can work at that company. That's so cool. Like I
Mm.
love traditional careers, but I think that I'm trying to see how do I get my young cousins exposed to other careers that they could
Mm.
experience, because I know that these would be top tier careers in the next 5 to 10 years.
100% interesting. So I always find that interesting where, you know, I feel like we're in a bubble where I feel like, oh, we've reached saturation point and everyone who knows about us already knows about it. But then I'm kind of always proven wrong when at each event you find a lot of new faces and you're like, and they're always like, I never knew this existed. And I'm like, that's crazy. We've been doing this for 10 years. So it's it's fascinating to always hear that, and somewhat encouraging as well, because it means we really haven't reached our full potential. Whereas I may think that we have, but the truth is that we're very, very far from that. So it's very interesting to hear.
Do you have another question? You said you have a couple, few questions. So I'm
I
assuming.
guess it would be a follow up, would be um, what do you think it would take for nerd culture as a whole to be more um, ubiquitous or more accepted or more mainstream in Zambian culture per se? What do you think it would take? What would it
I
take
don't.
for what would it take for Brenda from Kawata to be like, yeah, I've heard of those guys, or yeah, I know about, you know, obscure game B.
I think that you not being accepted is what's going to make you big. So you're going against the status quo in Zambia and the culture. You're going against what we're used to, right? You're trying to build something that normally here it's like, why are you even doing that? So there's a lot of those things happening in Zambia. There's a lot of those careers where parents just don't understand, right? Like, why are you studying graphic design? Like, why would you want to go to Open Window University? Like, so
Mm.
so that's just the bubble we're in currently. Is a lot of things are going against what people are used to, and maybe because we still have the older generations, maybe even the millennials know about you, but we still have the older generation, and they're still the decision makers, right? We don't have access to the type of influence and money they have, so we don't have control on how those resources trickle down to certain elements or certain factors in the country or in different industries. So if you hold on just a little longer and let that transition change, let those people that are in big positions now that would influence you where you are now to retire, for example, it means that those that those that are ready to change the status quo would be in power, and they would have the influences and resources to do it. So I think that on a corporate level or an organizational level, there's that element where the people in power might just want to keep things the way they are, which is fine, but they always won't be there. So the rest of us just have to chill for a little bit and wait for them not to be there. Organizational level, right?
Yeah,
On
yeah.
individual level, is people, just like a marathon, you will become a trend eventually, right? And some people will join you when you're at a trend. So when you think about how a product is integrated in a country, no, integrated in society, is there's always going to be the risk takers, the believers, right? Those that are your niche, those people that will join in before everybody joins in. Your early adopters is the word. So your early
Yes.
adopters will be
Mm.
there. So you're probably still in your early adopters phase, where these are the people that believe in the vision before anybody believes in the vision. But for you to maybe become a unicorn company, or for you to blow big, you need the general public. I've forgotten what word we normally use, but you need the general public to join in, right? So But I think that's like in different phases as well. Like early adopters, there's the middle guys who also join in. I will join in because a friend told me this thing, then I join in. But then for the whole majority, and for you to reach your peak to join in, it will take years sometimes. And that is very different for different industries and different technologies and things getting done. And in Zambia, you might just happen that your early adopters are not Zambians. Then your
Yeah,
country
that's
will
true.
probably join in. Yeah, and we'll probably join in, and everybody says, "Oh my goodness, have you guys heard of these guys? Like, you guys, are you aware of the net culture happening in Zambia? Like, do you know of the organization? Do you know the games they're playing about?" That's when people will join in. So I think for me, it's just hold on. That's my advice. Like, even I know that for myself. Like, I'm just supposed to hold on. I'm just supposed to stick to it and know who to interact with and accept things for where they are and wait for a few for a few changes to happen at different organizations, and also a few changes happening in the country, because then you have to realize that the only reason why marathons are big now is because organizations are pumping in money for them
Yeah,
to be that big.
but also I think we shouldn't also forget how much the fitness world has done
Yeah.
to get there. So it's not like it
Yes.
just popped up from nowhere. It's been getting there, and it just so happens that millennials, my people, are very much into. They want to stay hot. They want to look hot and fit in their 40s. So
Preach.
so it aligns, right? And who are the marketing managers now? It's us millennials.
Yeah.
So it's
So you
like I said,
just
it's
have
not.
to wait for Gen Zs to be marketing managers. Then we'll actually see a shift in what companies will be investing in. It makes
Yeah,
more sense, right? Like
yeah.
you
It's
just
gonna
have
be a
to
lot of creative stuff. A lot of like how creative, like the most Gen Zs are video creators, whether they
yeah.
see themselves as that or not, right? They're content creators. So there's going to be hella money pumped into, like, influencer culture will finally reach international levels. We will have our first Kai Senat, our first, Aisho Speed, like a proper Zambian like millionaire from influencing, like legitimately proper money influencer. Like right now they're doing well, but like I mean like proper well. Like it will be a real industry by then as well. So
So
you're
you
100%
give it
right.
like a bit of 5 to 10 years. All right, I'm a Gen Z. So in 5 to 10 years, I'll be in my mid 30s, early 30s, and mid 30s. It means that my company will be interested in investing in certain things, and I'll have the money and resources and power to do it. So I think it's really just about time and trends, right?
Yeah.
Like it's literally just about time and trends. And we're all just supposed to, I don't think we have this conversation a lot, but we're all just supposed to know that this is the time and trend for this, and this is the time and trend for that. And as much as we'd like to compare ourselves with the Western culture or the Western industries, is that they always get the bigger picture and they are influenced differently compared to us in Zambia or in Africa. But then Kenya is doing so great, South Africa is doing so great. So it has to do with leadership as well. And again, culture and perception and where we're at. So yeah, I think I've said a lot, but I hope it makes sense.
100% it has, yeah. And I think it applies to many many other industries. If it, even those who are in maybe a sport which isn't big
Yeah.
now, if you're like into badminton, you're like, you know why are they looking into badminton? Like you said, give it time, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Everything is about time and trend.
Yeah.
Time plays such a big role because sometimes time is your luck. And you
Yeah.
just need to know that, okay, time will tell. It's like a very good quote, actually. Now I know.
But always put yourself in a place where, like I said, audacity. Don't just be
Yeah.
passive about it. Put yourself in a space where, when that happens, you are there. Don't be like,
You're
oh, it's
ready.
happening to pass by you. No, like you should be there. You should be the automatic choice when anything nude culture related comes up. Even up to now, the first name that comes up is us because we've been there. And if we stop being there, if we, put brakes on the gas, when that trend does hit, we won't be there anymore, and it will bypass us. So even any other field that you're in, um, don't put don't put brakes on the gas. Like, don't stop it. Like, keep going so that when the time hits, you're there. You're the first one there. You're front of mind.
True. And again, my takeaway from this conversation is have audacity and courage. So you are the automatic choice for everybody. So have the audacity and courage. So you're the automatic choice. So for now, as we're waiting for the time to change, is we want to be the automatic choice.
Totally.
Dennis, I'd like to ask you our last question, which is, in general, what do you look forward to?
In general, like that's too general. Specify it for me a little bit.
No, I just want to know what you look forward to.
Like in life?
In life, in anything. That's why it's in general. In life, in work, whatever you're working on, what do you look forward to?
I have discovered that I'm a bit of a projects person. So, like, even at work right now, I'm starting a media team. So I am training the pupils, the girls. I work at a girls' high school, and they are creating a media team, which is gonna be like running our school's social media. And I look forward to seeing them grow. Like, even any project that I'm in, or anything that I do, like I always look forward to seeing the growth, like seeing how far they've come, seeing how far they will go. That always excites me. I'm always excited by the future prospects and future endeavors of individuals in different projects and activities. Like, even like you said, the podcast space. Fascinated to see where that goes. The influencer space, fascinated to see where that goes. Even the marathons. I may not be a fan, but like, I'm fascinated to see where fitness culture and all that goes. I hope it expands to like track and field, and seeing more people get into discus and javelin and whatever. Like, don't let it end at marathons. Like, let this. I hope there's someone out there in the track and field space, in the athletic space in Zambia, who can tap into this and make it grow in any other way. Film and TV, like, we've seen how good Mpali and the rest are. How is that gonna grow? Like, what's gonna happen in the next 5 years? That's what I look forward to. Like, that always gets me pumped, even if it's not my industry. Like I said, like, I'm not a fan of marathons, but the idea that because of these marathons, there's some 5-6-year-old out there who may have run it with their dad or their mom, and they're going to win gold for us one day. That excites me.
No, that's really great. Thank you so much, Dennis. I think that's something amazing to look forward to. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I hope you had fun. I loved learning about nerd culture, and I'm so inspired to get into gaming. I hope someone can keep me accountable. I hope I can come back and say, oh my goodness, I'm getting into gaming. Something related to a book, I'm in it. But thank you so much. It's been amazing listening to you and learning more about the nerd culture, gaming, and your take on AI. It's just something that I am grateful for. Yeah, so thank you so much for hanging out with me, and for everybody listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Very different from what we normally talk about, right? Exciting. I hope you can share this with a friend, subscribe, and tell us what your take has been. And please, join the nerd culture. If it's not for yourself, for your future kids. From me and Dennis. Bye for now.